Lights, camera, action.
She saw a goat sitting in a rocking chair, cross-legged, like a human.
You fall asleep in the movie, you wake up, everyone's gone.
Look up, and there is this thing. The wingspan covered a lot of the camper.
That was the greatest night in the history of television.
Welcome back to week 3 of OCTBOBERFEST.
Yes,
This is a good one.
this is a fucking good one.
It is a special one. It is a Red Band First.
Yes.
We are having the listeners call into the show and kind of run the deal.
Yeah.
They are telling their stories of hauntings they've had, spooky experiences, things of that nature. We don't want to dilly-dally too much. We want to get right into it, but
Yeah.
we're gonna hear some stuff.
Oh yeah, we're gonna hear some stuff, and we're gonna hear some stuff. I'm even surprised by the amount of shit that we heard. That it makes me even who occasionally will shift back into skeptic about this stuff.
Yep.
It just reminded me like this shit's real. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and I think it's a little, what's scarier about it is that it's not removed. It's not like some YouTuber that we
Right.
don't really know go into a haunted house. These are people that we know
Yes.
that are in the relative area telling these real stories. So we're going to hear stuff about, the ones you're not supposed to say, the S-walkers.
Yes.
Kind of like
S-walkers.
Skywalkers.
The Skywalker.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to hear about some haunted or some spirits in a bar.
Yep.
Bar spirits.
Bar spirits.
Not the alcoholic kind.
No.
How about some haunted dogs? Ghost dogs.
And that was interesting. Ghost dogs. That's out there too.
Yeah, we'll get a little bit of that. And then we'll also get a little bit of Chance the Rapper in reverse on its own out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Through a speaker. I don't like that.
Yeah, Grammy Award winning Chance the Rapper in speaking in tongues.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we're not going to waste any more of your time.
No.
Let's get right into the first one.
Yep.
Enjoy.
A couple spirits on the house.
This guest is someone who I've known for a few years now. She is a wonderful local comedian, a mother, a friend, and her name is Holly Bird. Welcome.
Welcome.
Hi guys. So I have weird crazy stories that so I've been a bartender until I became a mom. I was a bartender for years, and now that just doesn't sound appealing to me because I don't want to mother drunks anymore. But I did not believe in ghosts until I worked at a bar called the Press Club here in Albuquerque.
Okay.
Did not believe in them. Like, I thought people were crazy. And then I started working there. So, oh man, where do I even begin? I started working there, and my first day, the manager told me that when you open the door, you had to say hello to the spirits in the bar.
Oh my gosh.
Or you would have a bad shift. I was like, okay, hello, spirits, like kind of made fun of it.
Yeah.
And my first couple shifts, I wasn't working by myself, so like nothing real crazy happened. But I also said hello to the spirits because I had like a person training me, and they took it very seriously. So my first shift working by myself, I did not say hello to the spirit. Things went weird. The first day, a wiffle ball fell off the top shelf, and there was no like air conditioning up there that would have pushed it down. But I kind of like, I don't know, I guess like shrugged it off.
Yeah.
The second shift I worked, nothing weird happened at work, but crazy stuff happened at my house. And so I lived in like a studio apartment. My best friend and I were sharing a studio apartment because we were poor. And we slept on like a pull-out couch, and we had like a little fridge and stuff in the kitchen. And every morning, well, not morning, afternoon, when I would get up, the fridge would be open. And so I kept like telling my roommate, like, we have to close the fridge. Like, it got so warm in our crappy fridge that our food got ruined. And then like I would be in the shower and the door to the bathroom would open. All kinds of crazy stuff was happening. And I went back to work. I was telling my boss about it and she was like, oh yeah, that happens. Have you been saying hi to the spirits? I was like, I'm sorry, that happens? She's like, yeah, this has happened before. They follow people home. There's one spirit in particular that would follow people home. And I was like still thinking that is insane. This is obviously like my dog has figured out how to open the fridge. No big deal.
Right.
But we had one ominous spirit that we called Shadow Man. He started appearing in the doorway of this bar. And that would happen all the time. And the regulars would be like, oh yeah, that's Shadow Man. So things were starting to add up, you know, like things were happening. So one of the biggest spirits of this place was the owner of the house, the original owner of the house. Her husband was, I want to say he was like an architect or something, and he built the house for her. It was the house on the hill. So if you've never been to Press Club, it's like a wooden log cabin looking thing. And it's right behind what used to be the psych hospital, but it was a TB hospital before that. Like, there's a lot of history that goes into this place. But this lady loved her house so much, and she went through a divorce and made a groundbreaking thing where she got the house in the divorce, which was not a thing back then, I guess. So she loved this place, and there was like a legend that you had to leave her gin on the bar, and then she wouldn't hate you.
Whoa.
Shadow Man started appearing, and then I got pushed down a small staircase in the building. Not like a big one, but it was small, and I ended up kind of hurting my ankle. And I started, so I started leaving her gin on the bar because I thought, I can't do this anymore. The gin was always gone.
Really?
Gone. Like, I don't know if somebody does that to mess with people, but I was like, okay, all right, I'll leave you gin. It's fine. So, eventually I had the scariest experience, as if a ghost following me home was not scary enough.
Fuck.
Yeah, and he was still going home with me at this point, by the way.
Wow.
One of my regulars would always stay while I closed up, because this is like downtown.
Yeah.
And we would get homeless people that would like hide in the downstairs room. And it was really scary as like a woman to be alone. So I have a witness to this, but this bar is really crazy, and there's like an upstairs and a middle place where the bar is, and then a downstairs. Drunk people wander through that place and get lost all the time. Important to the story. So we're sitting there closing everything up. I thought everybody was gone. I heard a sneeze. I was like, oh man, I gotta go find whoever this is. So I go downstairs, nobody's there. I hear the sneeze upstairs. So I go upstairs, nobody there. My regular heard and felt the sneeze right behind her.
Oh, fuck no. Fuck no. And you know, that's like terrible for hygiene. You know, no one should be getting sneezed on even by a ghost.
Yeah.
Right. We don't know like what kind of virus this ghosts carry. Rude. But so I got like kind of, I guess like my fear made me mad, and I yelled at the ghost, and I was like, just shut the fuck up. And right at that moment, there's a huge metal door between like where the bar is and the downstairs staircase, and it is really heavy. Like, there is no way it could have moved by itself. It slammed shut.
Ooh. Oh,
Ghost said, that didn't sound like God bless you to me.
Yeah.
I have allergies. But it really freaked me out.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally had to admit that like all these people that had all these stories from over the years were not full of crap. But so as all that's happening, the original owner that I told you about, her family came into town and they wanted to look around the bar. And when I tell you that the building felt happier, I mean, the whole feeling of the place just lit up. And it was crazy. After they left, everything felt really light, but things were getting moved around in like a whimsical way. And the light in the poker room upstairs kept turning on after I had turned it off. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a heavy hitter in terms of scary stories right there. That's a great fucking one.
Pretty scary. As a matter of fact, a lot of ghost hunting shows have wanted to do a show at Press Club, but everybody who is on the board there or who has worked there is like, absolutely, please don't do that. Because as you can see, if you mess with them, they get really mad.
Right.
Yeah.
Ouija boards are not allowed in there. Seances not allowed in there. So
if you're looking for a fun summer job.
Yeah, you know, put in an application online. All applications are online these days.
Right.
do not tell them Holly sent you.
No.
I also do not suggest going there on Halloween night. I'll tell you right now.
Oh.
There's going to be someone out there who wants to do it even more now.
I know, right?
And that person's me. No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe we'll have to go down there sometime and
think we should.
and just sit casual.
Yeah, a little
Just check it
REDBAND on the scene reporting.
Yeah, exactly.
Go find Shadow Man.
Cool. Well,
right.
Holly, you're the best. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate your contributions. And, you know, I mean, it couldn't have been better than that. I mean, really, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Have
much.
a good night, you guys.
You too.
Bye.
Spooky with a chance of chance.
Our next guest telling us here to tell us some spooky stories for the spooky season is a good friend of mine by the name of Chance. I have known him for a good while. We used to work together. You know, we've crossed paths in all kinds of different ways of life. He's someone I love to have around. And he infamously looks like Mac Miller. But now he looks like Stacked Miller because he's up in them gyms. You know what I'm saying? So we got young Stacked Miller on the track. My brother Chance, happy to have you, man. Thank you for coming on.
Welcome.
Oh, hey, thanks for that. Thanks for that intro, man. I appreciate that. My name's Chance. You know, I'm an amateur power lifter. I'm a carpenter. Self-proclaimed cool guy. So,
yes.
Nice.
You know, and, you know, I just, there's been, you know, I've known Elijah here for a while, and I've listened to this podcast. Yeah, I love what you guys are doing here. You said you needed some spooky stories, and I just thought maybe there's a couple of spooky things that maybe happened in my life that, you know, maybe I'd like to share. So,
all right.
We love it. Ready.
All right, cool. Yeah. So, there's really two that kind of come to my mind, and the first one is you know, I used to, I've had my own fair share in the good old substance abuse. So,
yes.
And, you know, I don't know how you guys feel about, like the energy that people carry, and like the vibe that people carry, and that, like, I feel like when you take psychedelic drugs, that the energies that either come to you or get put out, those are like coming from like another world. Maybe you can invite some like weird energy into your life. You can give off weird energy. But I've had this one experience with a bunch of my friends, and we were taking psychedelics, we were taking shrooms, and we decided to go out for a walk. And it was up on Tramway, actually, Tramway in like Candelaria, and they're just starting to kick in, and then the power shut off to the whole place up there on Tramway, and I thought it was really odd. And then as soon as that happened, it felt like the vibes and the energy was just like way off, and we felt super freaked out, like as you would if the power goes out when you're taking psychedelics. And we ended up going back to my buddy's house, and we were having a good time. And everyone's having, everybody's tripping on shrooms. And then we'd been playing music solely off of my cell phone the entire night. And then my phone ended up dying. And after that, it's just silence for a while. We're all just laughing. We're having a good time. And then we all hear Chance the Rapper playing. It's like the cadence of like how he sings and how he raps, but it's in like this weird demonic kind of like backwards, it's like, you guys ever heard the thing about like if you play if you get a vinyl of like Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, you play it backwards, then it starts to like do like it was like something like that. It sounded like Chance the Rapper, and it was like playing this weird backwards demonic voice, and my one buddy was like, yo, what song is this? And I'm like, dude, my phone's not on. And we all look at our phones, and nobody's phone is playing music at this point. And that was just like, I don't know what that was. It's like, I understand that, like, if you're on shrooms and you're kind of tripping out, then like you're not really with it and stuff. But everyone there was like, my phone's not playing music. We looked at every single like stereo or TV or whatever, and nothing's playing music. And then after that, it was just like, we all just got this super weird feeling of like something like in like our presence and like in our space. And we all got super uncomfortable. And it was just kind of like, we've kind of felt like we were guarding ourselves from like whatever was either inside the house or around the house. And that, that's really like, that's one of the ones that came to my mind. I don't know what it was as far as that goes, but I'll never forget how weird it sounded to sound like Chance the Rapper, but it's like not Chance the Rapper. It's like this weird demonic kind of deal that's not, it's not English. Right. And that was very, very much like, felt like there was some sort of weird presence. And it was especially after the power went out. Yeah. And then we went back to my buddy's place, and everything felt weird since then, or since that happened. And then to hear that stuff, it was just like, I feel like there's some sort of presence that like we took from what was outside where we were at, and we brought it kind of like into where we were. And I just believe that like when you were to take psychedelics, it heightens those kinds of experiences of, what kind of energy you're letting in from whatever's out there, whether that's good energy or malicious energy. So
yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely. What's even creepier about that is like thinking about how Chance the Rapper kind of does rap, where he kind of does that like high, a little bit like high voice. He's like, no, and it's just like, I can't imagine that going backwards in that kind of like almost like goofy, playful, like rapping style.
Well,
that would freak me the fuck out.
Yeah, I mean, there's something so creepy about music being messed with.
Yes.
Always. I was exactly what he was talking about. I was so into looking those up on YouTube, like the Beatles songs backwards or Michael Jackson songs backwards, and then I wouldn't be able to sleep because it just it never sat right with me. And like things like radios coming on by themselves or things playing by themselves always gets me creeped out. So like that, a story like that for sure, I'd be uneasy the rest of the night.
For sure, man. Yeah. So no, that one is fucking crazy. And so, I mean, I guess I'm wondering if at some point throughout the night the energy was able to shift back to a more positive vibe, and was there anything in particular that helped with that, or did it stay sketchy the whole night?
It was so long ago, so it's like trying to remember anything other than like the moment that happened. It's kind of hard to bring about, but when that did happen, it was like my buddy, like he had a moment where he like didn't know who he was and he thought he was somebody else, and that's kind of weird, like hearing like this weird thing go on, and then the energy already being like super weird, and then my buddy thinking that he could potentially be somebody else at that moment was like, is that like something trying to like get at him or get in him or get through him or something? And I remember that being super weird. And then me looking in the mirror and everything just seeming like it's like very old, like I'm old, this is old, this mirror's old, this house is old, all this just like weird. So now that I'm thinking about that, I don't know if that could have something to do with whatever this thing is out there was from the 70s, because it's very much like a 70s type of vibe that I was like looking into the mirror and seeing. But we had one dude who was there. He was like, he's babysitting, all of us, just trying to make sure everybody was having a good time. And even he was like, I don't know where this stuff is coming from. And to have somebody sober that's there, and it's like, I feel like years down the road, he'd be like, I was messing with you guys, but no, it was never like was messing with us. And he was kind of the one my buddy Jason, he was kind of the one who was able to kind of keep the vibe going a little bit. It's like, we'll smoke a little bit of weed or whatever. Like, and so like the vibes were able to like get lifted, but after a little while. But that was just, I've never experienced something like that before, because it's just like there were like maybe 4 or 5 of us. So like the amount of like energy that's there between everybody, and then what could like latch onto that and cause that is just I don't feel like it would have happened like by oneself. It had to be like in a group of people, something attaching onto us or whatever.
Yeah.
Damn, I don't know what would be worse, being like one of the ones tripping and having all this going on, or being the only one who's not tripping when all this is happening and everyone else is. Like, I don't know what would be worse. Right.
I'm wondering, and obviously the sober one felt something. Did the sober one hear the music?
Yes. Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
And
that's fucking crazy.
Were you able to make out anything from the song, like what it was saying?
No, but when Elijah was talking about the way that Chance raps, because I thought it was the intro to Juice, because he's like thirsty, got the juice,
Yes.
Yeah, and it was like that cadence of like playfulness, but then becoming like this distorted kind of thing, and then just not being able to tell anything from like what is like being said. I couldn't understand what was being said. Nobody else could understand what was being said. And like I couldn't imagine, it's almost maybe a relief being the one who's tripping, because you can only focus on the weird music for so long. But yeah, I could never understand, what was being said, or it didn't sound positive at all. That's for sure.
In terms of this stuff, because with everything you said, you don't know, if how we believe on that, but I'd say I'll kind of speak for both of us. I think we both completely believe in what you're talking about and the types of energies and stuff like that, that can be transferred or picked up or good or bad. And before that, did you have much of mind to that? Like, were you skeptic? Did that make you a believer? Had you always believed in that shit?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you remember where my brother and I used to live, right there off of Holiday.
I also bought weed from you at that house, so let's just go there.
Tight.
Yeah, we had a lot of frequent flyers coming through that place for a minute. So, yeah. So I mean, so I was young at this point for this story. This one is much more interesting than the other one because, you know, it doesn't involve psychedelic substances and all that stuff and being a kid, and, you know, it's much more of like I don't know, I would say that the experience is a little bit more like pure, you know. There's like, obviously I wasn't on psychedelics as a child, but
Right.
So I remember I must have been like 6 or 7 maybe, and my brother and I used to share a room. And so at this point, you know, we were, you know, we stayed in the same room. Both of our beds are in the same room, and there's a window to our room, and there's like two bushes on either side of the window, and then there was a tree that was right there in the middle, and the tree had been there whenever we had moved in. I remember that tree since the whole time that we had stayed there. And I remember that the tree died or something, or I couldn't remember exactly why, but we had to cut down the tree, and it wasn't a very big tree. We had to cut down the tree and, you know, take out the roots and take out the stump and everything. And we had like this metal kind of archway that we put there instead. And I remember being asleep. It was some sort of time after that, and the tree being taken down will become important as the story goes on. And I remember sleeping, and I was I was scared of everything as a kid. I was very much afraid of like scary movies, or, you know, just really scary movies and fictional things that were scary, you know, and, you know, like ghosts, monsters, that kind of stuff. And I remember some point after the tree had gotten chopped down and the stump had gotten taken out, I remember I woke up in the middle of the night, and I remember my first inclination was, well, it wasn't to go and wake up my mom and have her put me back to bed, because that was pretty much my whole thing. That I get scared, I'd psych myself out as a kid, and I'd be like, shit, I'm scared. I need my mom to come back and put me back to bed. Let me know that everything's okay. And my first inclination was not to do that, but it was to pull the curtains up and look directly out the window. And when I did that, there was just this black figure right there in front of the window, underneath the archway where the tree would have been.
Whoa.
And I remember, you know, it being some sort of black figure, because, you know, it must have been, you know, I don't want to say it was a full moon because I can't remember that far back, but, you know, when the moon's out enough, you know, it really, you know, kind of gets some light outside, and you can see enough when you look out the window. And I remember just being, you know, there, you know, kind of seeing like around the backyard, but right there in front of me was just this like black figure. And I wasn't scared, but I felt like I couldn't move. I was just staring face to face to this thing, and it's not like it was far in the backyard. It was like, it was me, and then it was the window and the wall to the home, and then it was outside, and directly outside was this figure just like looking right at me. It was a little bit, you know, it must have been about the size of, you know, an adult maybe, you know, so it was quite a bit taller than me. And I just remember staring at it, not feeling super scared, but just like, this is not supposed to be here. We don't have a tree here anymore. What's going on? And I don't know how long I had stood there for. I couldn't like wake my brother up. I couldn't do anything really. And eventually, you know, close the thing. The thing kind of, you know, I can't remember if it kind of moved backwards or it just stood there. I kind of just was able to move again, and I just kind of closed the curtains, went back to bed. And then it happened again, you know, throughout the next couple weeks. Like it wasn't just that night that it had happened, but it was almost like the next couple times I had woken up because I had heard something outside.
Whoa.
And, you know, for that to be, you know, for that to happen, you know, being much older, you know, because when I was younger, I didn't know what it was, but it had never occurred to me that could have been an actual person.
Sure.
You know? Which is like, what's scarier, you know, there's
Right.
thick, you know, dark black entity that's like sitting out in front of, you know, your window, or an actual person who's standing in front of a child's window, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
But I remember waking up and again, and then opening up the thing, because I'm like, is the figure going to show up again? And I remember it moving from out of like the other bush and then standing there again. And like, so that's my other one. That one is much more, I guess, real to me, I suppose.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's the one that like I still think about, you know, like, you know, I guess it'd be, you know, 15 years later or something like that.
That's a brave move, because I know, like, growing up as a kid, when I was freaked out in the middle of the night by something, the last thing I would do is just go open my window, or even like turn over in my bed, because I was so afraid of like if I turn around, something's going to be standing there. I just know it.
Right.
And so I would not turn around, and I would try to just fall back asleep. So like the fact that you went and just open the window like that is like brave as shit. I wouldn't have been able to do that. No way.
Whew.
Man.
Damn. Well, I'm thoroughly fucking scared. And I'm not even playing. That's fucking like those are some truly, and it's like there's this I keep saying like those are some great stories, and then I'm like, but I need to remember like this stuff really happened to everyone
They're,
who's
like,
coming
real.
on. Like
Yeah.
it's like half and half, where I'm like, that's an entertaining, scary story, and then I'm like, damn, like that sucks actually too. Like,
You're right.
fuck, it's scary. Well, shit, man. Chance, I can't thank you enough, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for being willing to share your stories, man. And I hope I get to see you soon, bro.
Yeah, dude, likewise. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime.
Absolutely.
The Walkers.
So our next spooky storyteller, wonderful, wonderful friend of mine, my friend Skylar.
Hello, I'm Skylar. Super glad to be here. I thank you, Elijah. I love you very much, and I'm grateful to be here. And yeah, so again, I'm Skylar. Right now I work in a crystal store, and we sell crystals and magic things and magic advice. We don't sell advice; we give it, but it's like what I do is to like listen to people talk about scary things all the time and like talk them through how to deal with that. And the reason that I can do that is because I had to figure it out during a period of my life that I was dating somebody who really just, I think, had a death wish. He really wanted to like find ghosts and evil shit and like play with it. And it was not cool.
Not recommended. No.
Yeah.
When we like first started dating, it was right around Halloween, and like some friends of mine were having like a Halloween party thing, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go to this thing, do you want to come? And he was like, no, I'm gonna go look for skinwalkers. And this guy is this guy is from like upstate New York,
Right.
Grew up there, born and raised there, so he has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And I knew that about him. And I was like, well, where are you going to go? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, so you're not going to go to a place where you're even going to be close to them, I'm sure. Right.
Right.
I made the wise decision that instead of letting this man go off into the wilderness alone, I would go with him. Because I also had a death wish, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and sometimes we go there. Sometimes we have that.
Aware of, and like, you know, sounds that are coming from places that they wouldn't be that loud coming, you know, the kind of thing, like mimicking voices and like screaming and all this. And he was getting like way too excited. Like he was just getting excited. And I was like, you're a fucking weirdo. Okay. I was so into it. And I felt really knowledgeable, so it was good. But anyway, we get up there and we like basically hit the city limits of Farmington and then like turned around and drove back a little bit because there's a lot of rural, very rural, like empty land, like Jemez area. And yeah, we ended up pulling over and like who knows where into this just like open space that had a road going through it, and there was like a stone house, and he was like, I'm gonna go check it out. And I was like, okay, give me your keys, even though I didn't know how to drive, and like how am I gonna get back to Albuquerque, make that like however long that drive without knowing how to drive. I don't know, but I'm like, if he dies, I don't want to be like trapped without his keys.
Yeah.
So he goes out, and I roll my window down a little bit just to like listen, and he disappeared. Like I couldn't see him, so I was like really listening, and he comes back to the car. Like I see him coming back, and he stopped, and there was like a ridge in front of where the car was, and he like pointed at something, and then as he was walking back to the car, I heard like this very loud like, I don't want to call it a scream because it wasn't that. It was more like a screech and a yell over behind us, like this way. And he was like, did you see that? And I was like, no. Like, what the fuck was it? And he said he saw like eyes in the whatever, very New Mexican foliage up there. And I was like, well, this is what I heard. And of course, like, I was like, that's enough for me. I'm good. Let's go home. He was like, no, actually, I think we should chase it.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
we didn't like go where I heard it or anything. We just kind of continued. We got back on like the highway and went up into Santa Fe National Forest, which is like a part of Jemez, but it's like a separate thing. And there were all these like cows. This is all details that aren't really important to the story, but just I think just add to. It was very overwhelming. There were all these cows by like the entrance, and there was this one cow further in that was like away from the rest of them, and it was looking at us, and its face was fucked up. Like something was wrong with it. That it fully had light on it when we were passing it, and it just didn't look right. And I was like, hey, that's not cool. We should go home. No. And so we drove around for like 3 hours. We drove around for a while in this national forest, and people were like camping. Like it's very regular sometimes. Like there were moments of like, okay, this is fine and everything's fine. Which I was cool with, and he was not, because he really wanted to find something. And he had brought all his like, he had, like I said, this guy was pretty old. He had a lot of money, and he was like, I brought all my ghost hunting stuff. He had like what is it called? The spirit box with like the frequencies, and he had like the thermometer that you point. He had all the stuff that you see on like Ghost Adventures, right?
He had the YouTuber starter kit.
Yeah.
I have a lot of these stories. It's like just the first one. Unfortunately, jaded now, But yeah, and so we were driving around, and it was like getting close to 3 a.m., which is when he wanted to like stop and get all the stuff out and get out of the car and walk around. And I was like, okay, like, we can find somewhere to do that. And he rolls down the window, and he starts calling out into the forest, like yelling out into the forest, like, come and get us.
No.
I was like, I don't know who this us you're talking about is.
Yeah, right.
I'm not willing to be a part of this. I'm like a hostage, it was so but he was like basically just like calling whatever, and it wasn't specific. It wasn't like, hey, he didn't even attempt to make it seem like he wasn't trying to get bad shit in the car. And like, I didn't know a lot about like spiritual, like that kind of stuff at the time. I knew enough to know, like, don't do that. Don't do that, because you don't know what you're calling. And so we got to this like space where we couldn't get any further because it had like snowed, and we're in a little like 2018 Civic, and so we couldn't really get into the forest. But he stopped and he got out, and I was looking around at all these trees that were around us because there's only one way in and out of where we were. And I was like, oh, like we need to go. Like we need to go right now. Like he needs to come back to the car and we need to leave. There was like ice in the trees. There was the whole thing. And I was like, we gotta go. And so when he finally came back, I was like, did you find anything? And he said no. And I said, sick, let's leave. And I'm not asking, like we're leaving. And so while we were driving out, he was, you know, looking around the whole time, like just as like a one last thing to see if he could see anything. And he's looking around, and at one point we're driving and there's like a ridge on one side and forest on the other side. And I'm kind of like trying my best not to look because I don't care. I don't care and I don't want to know. And he like fully stopped the car, just like in the middle of the road, stopped the car. And he puts it in reverse. And I remember I was holding his hand and I was like, what are you doing? And he didn't say anything to me because of course, and he puts the car in reverse and he had a backup camera. And there was something weird going on with the backup camera, but I was like, ignore it. Like, it's fine. We're just leaving. I don't know what he's doing. But maybe he ran over an animal and he wants to. But he put the car in reverse, put it back in drive. And I did like a double take. Like I looked in my rearview mirror and I saw, and it was cold. It was like around this time of year. It was like either right before or right after Halloween. And it was 3 a.m. It was fucking cold outside. Yeah. And so the exhaust coming out of the car was visible. It freaks me out. I'm like difficult to scare, and this like freaks me out. So and the exhaust was coming up like not regularly, like around something the first time I looked. And then the second time I looked, I just felt like all of the heat leave my body, like my, like my blood ran cold, like that feeling, I felt it because there was nothing there, but like the exhaust was coming up around like a person shape.
Right. Oh.
And I was like, I just started screaming. I was like, fucking drive the car. I was just yelling at him. I was like, drive. And he started laughing and he was like, oh my God, what did you see? And I was like, shut up. We're not talking about this right now. So once we hit like, a town, I was like, okay, so this is what I saw. But like the next day we ended up going to Santa Fe, regular. And we went to the Cross of the Martyr. And we were up there, and all day I felt like messed up, like something was wrong, something was going on. I felt unsafe in my house. I felt like something was in my house. And I told him all of that when he picked me up to go to Santa Fe. And I was like, this is not cool. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. And he was like so stoked on what I was telling him, because it's like he found a little spirit Tupperware that he could take places and pick stuff up. You know what I mean?
My God. Is there any chance that, well, I think maybe we could say that he had bad energy?
Considering everything else, yeah, I really do know. Considering all of the other factors at that point and for the rest of the time that we were dating, I think maybe, his energy was a little weird.
I mean, he's the guy that you see in a horror movie and you go, this is unreal. Nobody would act like that. And then he acts like that. Like, oh, people don't actually do dumb shit like that. And then, they do, I guess.
People don't go towards that.
The horror movies are more accurate than we give them credit.
Right.
Some of the people that I've met along the way, it has been like that cast of characters. And like, I'm the final girl that's like, we need to leave. And they're like, no, it's fine. Or like, I can deal with this. And it's like, no, you can't. You literally cannot do it. So stupid. But Santa Fe was fine. I like got up to Santa Fe. We were up at the Cross of the Martyr, and like I was just saying, like I was sitting there and I was focusing really hard on like getting whatever was with me or on me or whatever off.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like walking around talking into his little recorder thing to see if he could hear anything, you know, doing the ghost hunting thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, at one point I stood up and I was walking around and I was looking at, you know, there's like stuff to look at. So I was looking at everything. And he like runs up to me and he was like, "What did you do?" And I was like, "Hold on, what?" And he was like, "Where were you sitting?" And so I showed him, you know, I walked back to where I was sitting and I was like, I was sitting here, I was doing this, I was thinking this, and I was saying this. And he told me that it like goes up, there's like a hill, and he had seen like a black thing. He started shining a flashlight to see if like a shadow was cast somehow. He had seen like a black thing come down the hill to where I was sitting, and then two of them go back up the hill.
Wow.
I didn't see that, but I didn't feel how I had felt all day anymore. So
right, and it came from where you were. I see. So it would seem as if whatever may have attached itself, you know, was, you know, scurried away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As best you could say.
Was taken somewhere that it wanted to be, you know.
Sure.
Maybe it didn't want to be in the forest and it wanted to be in Santa Fe, and it just ended up being I don't know.
It's like a spirit that hitches a ride from like one, you know, body to the next like area.
It's like afterlife Uber. Like
that spirit just wanted to go see some art in the Santa Fe Plaza. That's all.
Maybe wanted to go see like the chapel or whatever. I don't know. But
It's a spirit who's a single woman restarting in her 40s.
Yeah.
A bad divorce, wanted to go hang out with her gals in Art Town, you know.
Yeah.
Do the thing.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. You know, and it's like a red flag looking back. I'm like, I was really having a hard time, and very like adamantly like, no, I'm not going to do this. We're not going to do this. This is not going to happen. And he was like, we're going to do it. And I was like, okay, like, no. That's like such a, but yeah. So.
Well, cool. Skylar, thank you a million. I mean, you really just, you hit it out of the park in a way that I can't wait to share with other people, but, you know, just personally, just sitting here and having this conversation and hearing this, can't wait to do more. I'm going to call you.
Me too. It's been good. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome.
Well,
Skylar.
yeah. Thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Appreciate it so much, and we will definitely have you back.
Not all dogs go to heaven.
All right, guys. So our next guest on the Red Band Oktoberfest Spooky Story series is a good friend of both of mine and Estevan's from high school. It's been a long time since we've seen this dude, but he has been living a good life. He's been doing a lot of different things, and we're really happy he could make some time for us. Our next guest, Tanner Cattenhorn.
Welcome.
What's going on, boys? I'm very excited to be on the next biggest podcast in history.
Let's go.
I love it. I love that. Let's got a ring to it.
So this takes place in like 2006 or 2008, somewhere in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was my dad, we ended up getting this new home, and we were just super stoked about it. And he bought it. We went up and visited it. We were super excited about it. It's this like main floor house. It's like mostly one floor, but then there's this basement, and the basement is unfinished. And then connected to the basement is my garage, because the garage has like a downwards driveway. So hopefully I'm painting that picture correctly. So my parents, this is like right when they started letting me kind of like be at home with like a babysitter, you know, which is kind of weird because I was like in 5th grade. Like, that's so weird. Anyways, yeah, so it was like one of the like 5th or 6th times I had ever like been really by myself cruising at home. And my parents went out. They were like, hey, we have this dinner tonight. My brother was off somewhere at his buddy's house. And this is like sometime in the summer. So it was like still kind of light out, whatever. And so they go out to dinner with their friends, probably a couple miles down the road. And I'm sitting there just watching TV. I think I was watching like Hey Arnold or some Teen Nick shit. And I'm sitting there and I started hearing like a bunch of dogs like barking from down in my basement. And I'm like, what is that noise? Why am I hearing dogs barking? Like, what the hell? Like, none of my neighbors had dogs. And I think one of them had a dog, but it was a really small dog. And it sounded like German Shepherds, like barking.
Damn.
And so I got like hella weirded out. And then the next thing I know, I hear this voice and it says, hey kid. And I fucking turn around, like jerk my head. And I'm like, who was that? What the fuck? That was so creepy, right? And so I'm like, my heart's like pounding. I'm like so confused. It's like one of like the first couple of times I'm home alone, right? And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go inspect this out, right? I'm gonna go downstairs. I've probably been in the house for about a month, right? So I go downstairs and I'm still hearing the barking, right? As I go down the stairs, and right as I get to the ground floor, it just stops. It just completely stops. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that's so weird, right? And so I like my light switch is at the bottom of the stairs. So of course I do the thing where you turn the switch and you fucking like run up the stairs 10,000 miles an hour. There's not a demon, And I'm like freaking out because right when I go back upstairs, I start to hear the barking again. And I'm like, it's like super weird and my adrenaline is rushing. So I like call my mom and dad and I am like, Mom, Dad, like, for some reason, like I keep hearing barking in our house, but we don't have a dog. We don't like what's going on. Like this is super creepy. And of course they just killed the lights on me here. Anyways, so I go. How's it? So I go to so I call my parents and they're like, yo, what's going on? And I'm like, yo, I keep hearing barking downstairs. It's creeping me out. Like, what's going on? And like, I'm thinking that they're going to be like, oh no, it's okay. Like it's just in your imagination or whatever. But they're like, my mom's like, go to the next door neighbor's house right now.
What?
And I'm like, what the fuck? So I like go to my buddy's house next door and I'm like chilling with his parents. And like, I was kind of telling them what was going on and they were looking at me really funny, but they weren't really saying anything. And I was like, why are they looking at me like that, right? So my parents come home. They go throughout the house. They go in the garage because it was coming from the garage next to the basement. And the next thing I know, they're sitting there like, yo, so Tanner, like the whole reason that we got this house at such a good deal is the lady that lived in this house before just had a miscarriage, and her husband was like this kind of like this drunk asshole, and she was like really wanted to have a kid, and like she like had a couple miscarriages before. She was super sad, and she had these 2 German Shepherds. And one day she went into the basement and she closed the garage door, she closed the other door, turned the car on with her 2 dogs in the car with her, and they all died in the car in the garage where the barking was coming from.
Fuck.
Fucked.
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Like dude, like at this point I'm like, dude, this is not chill. So like like absolutely just zero chill. So I'm sitting there and like chills all over my body. I don't know what the fuck to say. And so like they ended up calling my Mormon priest or whatever you want to fucking call it. And they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna bless this, you know, any spirits like be gone, right? You know, a Mormon exorcism, you know, it's this stuff like some derping and some soaking. And if you guys don't know what that is, just Urban Dictionary it.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, like then literally for a month after, I kept having this dream of this lady, and she would always be like in the corner, just like never scary, but like literally just creeping. And like I brought up to my parents, I was like, I keep having this dream of this lady. I was like, do you guys know what the lady looked like? And they like show me a picture, and it's literally the fucking lady, bro.
What
that
the
killed herself in
Oh,
my God.
I hate it.
Oh,
I hate it.
yeah.
I love it.
Dude, it was like, dude, after that, bro, like, dude, it was just not chill. Like, I would never go down there alone. Like, even to this day, when I go home, bro, I still don't go down there alone. It creeps me out. Like, I get goosebumps. But yeah, fuck shit. And like, I would just, you know, it was horrible. We'll end it there. But yeah, insanity.
Damn, dude. Crazy. Wow. Crazy.
That's insane.
That's fucking insane.
So, I mean, you hear that happened in a house, and then you still choose to buy the house.
Yeah, that's another thing, bro. I was like, bro, like, I mean, you watch those scary movies, right? Of, you know, the dumb fucking dad and mom that buy the house, and the kids are like, yo, like, this shit sucks. Like, let's get the fuck out of here. And the dad's like, sweetie, we need to stay here. Daddy needs to flip it. We only have to be here for 4 months, you know? And like, you're on the like other side of the screen. You're like, fuck this guy, right? Like, that's really my bro. Like, Jesus. What the fuck?
So this is crazy because we had a guest, one of the callers called in.
Yeah.
And her boyfriend at the time, it was very much the character that was like, come on, this is ridiculous. This character doesn't exist.
Right.
Nobody's that stupid. And then you hear her boyfriend, and then you find out, oh, wait, there are people who will buy a haunted as shit house.
Yeah.
And like, just be like, no, it's fine.
They're like, oh, this
It's
really
real.
nice house that's like 75% of the cost. Okay, bet, you know?
Yeah.
There's probably no reason for that.
Like, and like nightmares for the next 5 to 10 years, but you know, whatever. We got a $250,000 discount, whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did it go away while you lived there? Do your parents ever still see shit, whatever, anything like that? Is this ongoing, or did it kind of chill out?
Dude, that's a great question. And so eventually I just kind of I kept having these dreams of this lady, right? And then I was like, okay, she never seems too sus in my dreams, right? and then, but like, she always just was like creeping, but like, she's just like, whatever, like, just like, it was never like too creepy, but it was just like, okay, like, why are you here, right? So eventually I just kind of can't, I was just like, I went down there one night and I was like, hey, this sounds so stupid.
No.
Like such a dumbass. But I went down there one night and I was like, hey, just want you to know, like, I'm like, yo, I just want you to know that, you know, like, we cool. Like, you know, I like dogs and shit. Like, that's tight, but you know, like, just don't fuck with me and I won't fuck with you. And like, I love the house, by the way. I heard you designed it. It's tight. Like,
yeah, right. I mean, a very fair thing to go do.
Yeah,
I would.
That's exactly what I would have done, probably.
yeah. So now, like, now that I'm like an adult, you know, I try to convince myself all the time. I'm like, oh yeah, there's no such thing as ghosts and demons, right? And then like, I go back to my house and I'm just like, Actually, maybe there might be. So this is sus.
So I think I've maybe then been to that house because I think you had a big bonfire one year in high school, and I think it was at your house, and I went to it. So I was on the scene.
Yes,
I was on the scene back then, and I didn't even know I was in the presence of hauntings.
Yeah, dude. I honestly, dude, like, and then it's funny when I started like blazing. I'd always be like, you know, when you first started blazing, you're just so high, right? And so I would literally just be like sparking up, you know, for the, you know, it's like my 10th, 15th time. And I'm just like blazing. And I would literally just be like, I hope this lady's blazing with me right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like she ended up, I always like to think that she was chill, that she would chase the other demons away from me. Cause I feel like I've just had demons around me my whole life, bro. Like, but you know. It is what it is. Me and her are tight now. At least I hope to think.
Yeah,
I would think so. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think I even went to a party at your house. I think freshman year, and I think it was in the fucking basement.
Oh,
probably,
man.
bro. And that's what's crazy, dude. Like we would cruise down there all the time, but I would always be afraid to tell people. I'm like, yo, like this shit's fucking sucks. Unless I was trying to pipe, and then I would be like, yo, it's fucking haunted in here. Like maybe we should.
Yo, we might need it's better than watching a scary movie when you actually have a real haunting. You know?
Have you ever seen Paranormal Activity? Yeah, that shit's going on right now. Like, why don't you come on over here and
we can soak.
Yeah, no, I honestly, the way I look at it, I'm like, dude, I was just the kid she never had, bro.
Okay. That's a nice thought. That's a way to make it a little nicer.
That is nice. I like that. She maybe did take to you, maybe for real, and I don't know. I really like that twist right there, and I like to believe that too. Now that I've heard this story, I'm gonna go with that one as well.
I like that.
Yeah, and now I think that she fucking haunts my mom all the time because my mom's always like, this shit's fucking sus, dude. I'm like, yeah, she's just beefing it out because she wants to be my mom and not you.
Did you ever have real dogs?
I ended up getting a dog like probably 10 to 7 months after that. And dude, she would always go, dude, that's weird, bro. Cause she would always go cruise in the basement, and she would stay down there, bro. And we'd be like, where the fuck is our dog? Where the fuck is our dog? And then we would look all throughout the neighborhood and upstairs, and she's just downstairs in the basement, pitch black, just cruising.
Oh, wow. See, animals, they have the sense for that shit.
Oh, yeah.
When an animal starts staring off somewhere where there's nobody or anything, just
watch
go.
out.
Just go. Yeah.
So sus. Unless you have, dude, my roommate has this French bulldog that just does that, but that's because that motherfucker's eyes are pointing opposite directions at all times. I feel so bad. French bulldogs sometimes. They're just so inbred, bro, that they see 180 degrees, dude.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, shit, man, that was a damn good story, man. I really appreciate you coming on and shooting the shit with us, man. And fuck, whenever you're in Albuquerque, man, hit us up, man. Come on in person.
Hell yeah.
Hey, kisses on your pillow, way.
Oh, shit.
For real, dude. On camera, off camera, whatever it is, bro. Dude, if you guys are ever in Hawaii, I would love to host you. We'll have a great time. We got hella spots on my pad, so, I fucking love you guys. I love that you guys are following your fucking dreams and making it happen. And, do not stop this shit because I've seen it. You guys produce it incredibly well. You guys know what you're doing. You guys are extremely charismatic together. I love it, bro. I've seen probably 5-6 episodes. I'm not watching it every day, but I really like what you guys got going on, bro. It's a vibe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tanner.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate that, man. And yes, if we're ever around the Hawaii ways, you bet your ass we're fucking gonna come kick it.
Yeah,
dude.
man. Hell
You
yeah.
better, bro. Honestly, I would feel a little bit disrespected. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, fair.
Fair enough.
Fair.
Wow.
Thoroughly spooked.
Yeah. I mean, I just, I'm like almost like I'm glad we did it, but I'm freaked the fuck out now. I'm actually terrified.
I'm gonna sleep with all the lights on tonight.
Yes,
and all the speakers in my house off.
Yeah. No, definitely no speakers. No mushrooms.
Yeah, no
for
mushrooms.
Sure.
Right. Anytime I hear a dog barking now, I'm gonna be like,
yeah. That there better be an actual fucking. That's making me wonder. In my apartment, I hear dogs barking downstairs. Are they even there?
Yeah, right.
Are they even there?
Are the dogs that you hear even there?
Yeah.
Think twice. But thank you so much for joining in. We hope you enjoyed these spooky encounters.
Yeah.
I would like to do this even outside of October. This is kind of cool.
So.
This is kind of fun having people just call in and tell stories. It was spooky or just, whatever.
Anything, just any kind of stories. Yeah, we need to start fishing for the stories, and it's a beautiful thing that it really does end up being just the people in your everyday walking life, friends from the past, friends from the present, who tend to just have these beautiful, interesting, crazy, terrifying stories that we couldn't even write.
Yeah. And well, I guess you can kind of write some of this. Like here we are shitting on horror movies for how long, being like, that's cheesy. That's not realistic. You find out it's kind of a little more real than you would think. Like, the boyfriend who's just that guy, like kind of the jock guy who's like, oh, let's go fucking find some ghosts in the fucking forest.
Yes.
They're real. That kind of person's real. Buying a greatly reduced house because someone fucking murked themselves in it.
Just murked themselves and their dogs.
Yeah, and now they kind of roam freely, let their dogs bark freely. That's real. I guess that's why a lot of horror movies start off with a family buying a rundown or cheap house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess our fiction really does reflect our reality.
Yeah. I'm finding. And with that, next week, we will be reviewing Halloween Ends.
Damn right, baby.
We know that it hasn't ended. We know it won't end.
It's not going to end.
They word it so carefully. It's like their saga ends.
Right.
Okay, so he's going to keep going, right? Like, I also read a thing that one of the main producers put in a clause that Michael Myers cannot be killed going forward in movies. And then he died, but his son took over and is honoring the clause.
Well.
So I'm very interested to see what comes of this movie.
I guess we'll fucking find out. I'm ready, though.
I'm ready. And so until next week, stay spooky, stay safe, like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time, y'all.